The others looked at him. He didn't explain. Nor did they answer Sophie's question. But as Sophie passed the sitting rooms, band chambers, a library, and solarium, each being renovated with lion crests and carvings and emblems, it became clear that Camelot did have money. Lots of it. Where had the gold come from? And who were those three sisters acting like they owned the place? And how was this happening so soon? Ryan had barely become king, and suddenly the whole castle was being remade in his image. It didn't make any sense. Sophie saw more men shuffle by, carrying a giant portrait of Ryan in his crown and asking guards for directions to the Hall of Kings where they were supposed to hand it. One thing was for sure, Sophie thought, watching them fare towards the White Tower. All of this had to have been planned by the king long before today. Don't call him that. He isn't the king, she chastised herself. But how did he put Excalibur then? A second voice asked. Sophie had no response, at least not yet. Through one window, she saw workers rebuilding the castle drawbridge. Through another, she glimpsed gardeners reseeding grass and pulling in brilliant blue rose bushes, replacing the old dead ones, while over in the gold tower courtyard, workers painted gold lions in the basin of each reflecting pool. A commotion disturbed the work, and Sophie spotted a brown-skinned woman in a traps uniform ushered out of the castle by pirate guards along with her cooks, as a new young strapping chief and his all-male staff were guided in to replace them. But the Silkima family has been cooking for Camelot for 200 years, the woman protested. And we thank you for your advice, said a handsome guard with narrow eyes who was in a different uniform than the pirates, glided and elaborate, suggesting he was of higher rank. He looks familiar, Sophie thought. But she couldn't study the boy's face any longer because she was being put into the map room now, which smelled clean and light like a lily meadow, which wasn't what map rooms were supposed to smell like, since they were airless chambers, usually occupied by teams of unwashed knights. Sophie looked up to see maps of the woods realms floating in the amber lamplight above a large, round table like scented balloons. As she peered closer, she saw these once old, brittle maps from King Arthur's reign, but the same magical quest maps that she and Agatha once encountered in the Snake's Lair, featuring any figurines of her and her quest team, enabling the snake to track their every move. Now all those figurines hovered over Camelot's tiny, three-dimensional castle, while their real-life counterparts festered in the dungeons below. But as she looked closer, Sophie noticed that there was one labeled crew member on the map who wasn't near the castle at all. One who was breaking away from Camelot, slipping towards the kingdom border. Agatha. Sophie gasped. She's alive. Aggie's alive. And if she was alive, that means Agatha would do everything she could to free Tetris, which means Sophie and her best friend could work together to save Camelot's true king, Aggie from the outside, she from the inside. But how? Tetris would die in a week. They didn't have any time. Plus, Ryan could track Aggie himself on this quad map anytime he wanted. Sophie's eyes flared. Quest's map. She had her own. Her fingers clasped the gold file attached to the chain around her neck, carrying the magical map given to each dean. She tucked the file deeper under her dress. As long as she had her own map, she could trace Agatha without Ryan knowing. And if she could trace her, maybe she could also send Agatha a message before the king's men found her. Hope flooded through her, drowning out fear. But then Sophie noticed the rest of the room. Five maids with white lens dresses that covered every inch of their skin and white bonnets on their heads were fanged around the table, silent and still like statues, their heads bowed so she couldn't see their faces, each holding a leather-bound book in her outstretched palms. Sophie moved closer, noticing that the books were labeled with the names of her and Ryan's wedding events. Blessing, procession, circus of talents, feast of lights, wedding. She stared at the slim maid holding the book marked procession. The girl kept her head down. Sophie flipped through the book while the girl held it, the pages filled with sketches of carriage options and animal bliss and outfit possibilities that she and Ryan could use for the town parade, where the king and new queen would have a chance to meet the people up close. Would they ride in a glass carriage pulled by horses, on a gold and blue flying carpet, or together atop an elephant,